I survived my worst nightmare. 1 minute, you're just living your life. The next, you're fighting to stay alive. People always talk about your life flashing before your eyes, but they don't mention the silence that comes right after. That strange, muffled moment when you're not sure if you're alive or dead. This is the story of the day I almost died, and the painful journey of learning how to live again. It was a totally forgettable Tuesday. The sky was that perfect, crisp blue you only get in early autumn. I'm a graphic designer, so my life was pretty controlled, measured in pixels and deadlines. It was a world I could make sense of, but my real passion, my escape, was hiking. There's just something about feeling small next to a mountain, the burn in your lungs, the view from the top. That's where I felt the most alive. That morning was just like any other. I had my 2 cups of coffee, scanned my emails, and my hiking pack was already by the door, waiting for a weekend trip I'd been planning for months. I remember feeling this little buzz of excitement as I locked my front door. It was a normal day, humming with the quiet promise of a future I completely took for granted. I hopped in my car, put on some music, and pulled out onto the main road. I was thinking about a project I'd just wrapped up, what to get for dinner, the climb waiting for me on Saturday. My mind was anywhere but on the road. And that's the thing about the moments that shatter your life. They don't announce themselves, they just show up. I never saw the truck that ran the red light. All I remember is a flash of red from the corner of my eye, a gut punch of adrenaline, and then impact. It wasn't like the movies. There was no slow motion, no dramatic score, just a brutal, deafening boom that felt like it came from inside my own skull. The world turned into a violent, spinning chaos of glass and metal. I felt the car roll once, maybe twice. I lost count. The force was unreal, like being hit by a wrecking ball. I think I opened my eyes. Everything was sideways, a mess of jagged angles. It smelled like gasoline and hot, burning metal. The pain hadn't hit yet. My body was just in shock, trying to protect itself from how bad everything was. I could hear a faint hissing sound. My first real thought wasn't, "Am I okay?" It was, "I'm going to be late." It's bizarre how the brain tries to find something normal when faced with total disaster. And then the pain arrived. It wasn't just one thing. It was everything, all at once. It started in my leg, a searing, white-hot fire that blotted out everything else. I looked down and saw my leg bent at an angle it should never be. I could see the bone through my ripped jeans. Nausea washed over me. The world started to go dark at the edges. I couldn't feel the right side of my body. There was glass stuck in my arms and face. I tried to yell for help, but all that came out was a choked gasp. I could feel my vision tunneling, and I heard a stranger's voice telling me to stay conscious. All I could think about was my mom. I just didn't want her to get that phone call. The next part is a blur. Sirens getting closer. A firefighter's face, upside down, telling me not to move. The sound of the jaws of life ripping my car apart. I remember them putting a brace on my neck, the cold plastic on my skin. I found out later the first responders didn't think I would make it. The list of injuries was terrifying. A shattered femur, 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, and a concussion that would wipe my memory of the next few days. I faded in and out in the ambulance, my entire world just flashing lights and muffled voices. The one thing I knew for sure was that when I looked at my wrist, my watch had literally exploded from the impact. I thought that was the worst part. The crash, the pain, the terror. I was wrong. The real fight had only just begun. If this story is resonating with you, or if you've ever had a moment that changed everything, please take a second to hit that like button. And if you want to follow the rest of this journey, consider subscribing. Your support truly means the world. Now back to the story. Waking up in a hospital is one of the most disorienting things you can experience. For the first few days, I was basically a ghost, floating in and out of a morphine haze. My world was nothing but beeps, quiet voices, and the dull, constant ache that was my new reality. My leg was in this crazy metal cage called an external fixator, and I had tubes coming out of me that I didn't understand. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't even roll over. I needed help for absolutely everything. The physical recovery was a brutal inch-by-inch fight. Physical therapy became my new full-time job. The first time they moved me from the bed to a wheelchair, the world spun and I almost passed out from the pain. Just learning to stand again felt like climbing a mountain. I'd lost so much muscle just lying in bed. For weeks, progress was measured in seconds, standing for 5 seconds, then 10. Every tiny movement was a victory, but it was hard to feel it under the weight of pure exhaustion and frustration. But the physical pain was only half of it. The psychological toll was a deeper wound. Sleep was no escape. Night after night, I was right back in that spinning car. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding, the sound of screeching tires in my ears. The nightmares were relentless, a common symptom for people with PTSD, whose brains are struggling to process what happened. During the day, I was jumpy and on edge, constantly scanning for danger, which left me drained. A dropped tray in the hallway would make me flinch. A siren outside would send a wave of panic through me. I stopped watching TV, terrified I'd see a car crash. It's a classic trauma response. Your brain tries to protect you by making you avoid anything that could trigger the memory of the event. There were days I felt completely hopeless. I felt isolated, alone. The person I used to be, that independent, active hiker, felt like a total stranger. I was trapped in a broken body and haunted by a mind that refused to let me rest. I felt this crushing survivor's guilt, constantly asking what if, and if only. Depression moved in like a heavy fog. I remember looking out the hospital window, watching people just walking down the street and feeling this unbearable loss for that simple freedom. There were moments I couldn't see a way out and thought it might be better if I just wasn't here. My turning point wasn't some big dramatic movie moment. It was a slow, quiet decision to fight. It was fueled by my amazing family and friends, and a therapist who helped me understand that my reaction was a normal response to a completely abnormal event. She taught me things like dream journaling to get a handle on the nightmares and mindfulness to calm my rattled nervous system. She helped me see how trauma can scramble the brain's fear signals, but that with work, you can actually rewire those pathways. I started to focus on what I could do. I couldn't hike, but I could sketch. I filled notebooks, pouring the pain and frustration onto the page. I started a journal, not just for nightmares, but for the small wins, walking 5 more feet, lifting my leg 1 more inch. It was my way of taking back control of my own story, of proving to myself I was more than just a victim. This whole journey changed my perspective. Before the accident, I was always chasing the big moments, the summit, the finish line. Recovery taught me to find the joy in the small things, the sun on my face during a short trip outside in a wheelchair, the taste of my first real meal after weeks of hospital food, hearing my best friend laugh. People who survive experiences like this often find a new, deeper appreciation for life and the people in it. It makes you realize what's truly important. It's been 3 years since the accident. I have scars inside and out. My right leg still aches when it's about to rain, a permanent reminder of the day my world broke apart. I still get a knot in my stomach in heavy traffic. The nightmares are mostly gone, but not completely. I'm not the same person I was before, and I've learned that's okay. I'm hiking again. My pace is slower now, more deliberate. I stop more often, not just to rest, but to actually look around, to breathe it all in. The crash took so much from me, but it gave me something I didn't expect. Gratitude. I survived. I got a second chance, and I refuse to waste it by living in fear. My life isn't about reaching the summit anymore. It's about appreciating the climb, every single step. My worst nightmare almost broke me, but it didn't. It remade me. Thank you for watching Fear Files Real Nightmares. Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked.